What is going on, guys? It's me, Kevin, here, and I'm here with CJ. Ryan could not join us today, but me and CJ, we're going to give him a good show, no?
Always.
We are back once again to talk about this past week's HOH episode. And obviously, in the end of the night, we're going to get into what happened in the feeds. We're going to get a little bit of spoilers. So, CJ, first, what were your thoughts on how they handled Kyle's edit?
That's it was rough. So being a person of color with the history of this show, they don't always do a great job of handling real conversations when it comes to race. They cover up a lot of things that go on in the back. That if you're watching the feeds, you know what's happening, but if you're just watching the show, you don't know why people are bitter at other people, why people don't like each other. Knowing what I knew going into this episode, I was mad at Kyle, but I wasn't sure if Kyle knew his views were problematic. So then you go and you show, what happens on Wednesday with Michael and Brittany deciding to tell everyone. Telling Taylor and Monty first to make sure that they have their permission to share the information. All of that spiraling going into Thursday's episode where Kyle spirals because people think he's racist because his views are racist. And then having the house meeting. And I love, for the first time, DJ Showtime showed up and saying, Michael and Brittany, you can't just sit on this information. You're not innocent. We had a right to know. Why'd you sit on this for so long? Game move or not, they couldn't sit on that for that long because they look like accomplices too. And back to your original question, it's fascinating to me that with Kyle being clearly in the wrong, he was edited to a redemption arc while Michael and Brittany were made to look like villains for sitting on this information in the first place. Like, you could all be wrong. And then you have the redemption arc edit of Kyle's conversation with Monty showing him grace when he didn't have to. You have Taylor, I'm sorry, but in 2020, when you have all these Black Lives Matter protests and we have, white people coming to us and they're like, man, I didn't know it was like this. I didn't know your struggle. It's not my job to educate you.
Bruh, the amount of times our friends have hit me about, hey, is this okay? Is
right.
this okay? I mean, I'm thinking about this. Is this okay? I mean, we have a pair of friends. We have a friend that used to have BBD party, and BBD stands for Big Black. You know what I mean? And after everything was popping, she literally calls me and said, "Hey, can I sell this party?" And I said, "Nah, fam. You shouldn't have never had this party.
Right.
You can't." And she hasn't had it since. She's had a party, but hasn't called it that since. Still the same ideas, but hasn't called it that. Because it's you can't celebrate that. B Bean said, "What's the BBD party?" Listen, B Bean, we don't know how old you are, so we really can't get into it. We can't really get into it. But just imagine what BBD would stand for if the first two B's were big and black. So
you might not want to go on Urban Dictionary for that one.
Yeah, but you know what though? Right here, Dick had a good question. Wouldn't you consider this mild compared to past seasons, but only compared to past seasons like 21 and 15 specifically?
So here's the thing about it being quote unquote mild. It's not that it's mild, it's that it's microaggressions, and a lot of people don't know what those are. So, an example of a microaggression that Black people experience all the time would be somebody going up and be like, "Oh, can I touch your hair?" no, you can't touch my hair. Asking, like, why do you do things a certain way? Why do you act a certain way? What does this mean in your vernacular? Like those kind of things.
Dude, saying to someone, to a person of color, "Oh man, that was real clever." Like that's a surprise. Like you can't
So
like.
for me growing up, the one that I always got that always pissed me off is you're so well spoken. So because I'm black, I'm not allowed to be educated. Like
Hmm.
I have to
Hmm.
speak in slang. Like, what do you mean by that? By you're so well spoken? Why is it surprising that I'm articulate?
Right. It shouldn't be. It
And
shouldn't
that's the
be.
kind of shit that Kyle was perpetrating in the house. Like, you got the big story of him talking about the having a cookout like alliance, where if he put even a second of critical thought into it, knowing that Jasmine hates Taylor, like there's no way those six are working
A
together.
second of critical thought. Just a second.
But like, okay, like I understand you're in the house, you're paranoid, you're working, like you're trapped in your thoughts, and I can understand how your brain could go that way, even after Michael and Brittany tried to shut it down. And this is why I don't think they're not without fault, but I do understand what they were saying in the sense that they thought they shut it down. Then Kyle immediately disappeared from their lives for a week. And then they came back and the person of color was gone. Like, yeah, that's a problem. And that's when you're
Mhm.
going to share the information, game or not.
And, and like you were talking about microaggressions, just to be clear, some microaggressions we heard all season that Taylor's going to pop off if she goes on the block. That Monty is loud, that
Yes,
Joseph is loud, that
they're
Taylor is
aggressive.
loud, that Taylor's going to be aggressive. These are all microaggressions that you're saying about them. And when you add in, as Bean was saying, don't forget the colorism that Taylor experienced because she's darker than others, such as
Yes.
Jasmine or Amira, that they were expecting her to be more unruly, if you will, than the others in the game. These kind of things have been happening all season. So to answer Dick's question, is this mild in comparison? Sadly, yes, because 21 and 15 were atrocious with this.
It's in, I wouldn't even say it's mild in comparison. It's just different. Like the other stuff was
No,
just
no, no,
so
no. It's
blatant.
mild. If you look at 15, what happened with Howard and Candace, with Aaron and Gina Marie, this is mild.
Okay.
Gina Marie's over here dropping the N word. Like
Yes.
it was bad, bad.
Yes. Here's the thing though, it's like CBS for whatever reason decides to cover this shit up all the time.
All
You
the
have
time.
you have cameras on 24/7. Like this show could actually be showing a microcosm of what the real world actually is. And I understand that you have to make it a faux competition. This isn't actually a competition show. It's a social experiment. They
Hmm.
influence the people within the house. They try to get certain people to win. And as a result of that, the producers' favorites and who they think are going to win is always shown in a positive light. We've talked about this before, that they're editing in real time. I get that. But when people start saying this shit, you need
Hmm.
to put it out there so you know 3 weeks down the road why the house turned on them in the first place.
It's even worse than that. Okay, so just to B Bean says that Taylor was hurt badly at the beginning, and I 100% agree.
Yes.
That was it was terrible. I'm not saying that she wasn't. I'm saying in comparison to 15 and 21 specifically, this is mild in comparison to those two seasons specifically. To most seasons, this is more egregious than most seasons, but we're in a new era with the cookout and with this season. So now we have to have a 50-50 be people of color. Um, it's different. So I want to see what happens in this new era when you have more people of color in the house consciously. So
And
that is something that we need to be aware of.
what's also funny about this, the like 50% people of color in the house, it's still a disproportionate number of black people in the house correspondingly to the population in the US. Like we should be getting more Latinos. we should be getting more Asians. And we don't get those. The fact that Joseph was what, the second Middle Eastern person in
Yeah.
who knows how long?
He's not the second, but yeah. I mean, because you have him, you have Fessy, you have Kaser. That's at
Right,
least
but
two.
like
That's at least three.
if you can count them on one hand, it's a problem.
True. Facts. Facts. That's true.
So like you need to like I'm not saying that we need more white people. The white people are a plurality of the population in this country. So when you have 16 people in a house, there should be 7 or 8 white people because that's
Yeah.
what America looks like.
Yeah.
But you should have 3 or 4 Latinos. You
Listen,
should have a
I've been
couple of
saying
black
this
people.
game from the jump. Like, it doesn't have to be what the and this is one conversation I've had for many years. Me and you have been watching this show together since BB-8,
Right.
right? And so, like, I've had this conversation many times over that this doesn't need to be a straight population of what happens in the world. Someone told me, like, well, there's 13% of black people in the US comparatively. Therefore, if you're taking the Big B house, maybe every other season there should be one person. Like, get out of here with that, right?
Nah.
It should be a utopia. This should be a ideal situation, right?
Yes.
We want everyone to have a fair shot in this thing, a fair shake. So why would you not want to have more, just more plurality, like you said? And BB said he wonders if a lot of Asians and Middle Easterns are applying. They probably are. There's literally no way for the many years that you're going to tell me that only one black person was good enough through the casting. Only Devin this season.
And
Like at BB16.
it makes it worse because so much of this cast was recruited.
Yeah.
So much of this cast
Just go find
just
them.
yeah.
Just go find them.
Yeah, like so much of this cast are not true Big Brother fans, and you could see it in the styles of gameplay that they're new to the game, that they discovered the cookout, that was their entry point, whatever. That's cool. But there's a lot of diehard fans out there that would die to get a shot in this house, and you're not giving them the chance because you want to have your perfect cast. It's crazy.
And one thing that was extremely interesting was going back to the edit, and I talked about this on the Thursday episode with Sheldon and Kylie. They didn't just give Kyle the redemption arc, they made you mad at Brittany and Michael. Like, yeah. I said this to Sheldon, and I'm gonna say this to you. I don't understand how people are madder at the people telling the cops about the attempted murder than the guy that plotted the murder.
Right.
Like, Kyle was putting together the alliance. Brittany and Michael just told the cops 3 weeks later. And then they're mad at, how dare they go and tell the cops so late? Why didn't they tell him when he attempted the crime? Well, what about Kyle? He attempted the crime. Well, he's sorry, and he didn't do it. I'm like, what? How are we seeing Terrence talk about for so many times about how mad he is at Brittany and Michael for this? Seeing Monty talk about how upsetting this is. Turner about, they're just not bringing this to me now. I can't believe this. I don't know how I feel about this. Like, why?
Yeah, you don't get anybody openly condemning Kyle. You get the clips of, you're wrong and you're going to learn from this and we're going to help you learn from this. But Michael and Brittany, well, how dare you sit on this? And like, I understand Michael and I, like, if this was me, I very much understand Michael and Brittany sitting on this because you don't want to ruin this man,
right?
For lack of a better term. You are ruining him in this house if you ever say this. But the longer you sit on this and let me, as a person of color, deal with this dude, knowing he has ill will in his heart, I'm going to be madder at you. I'm going to be mad at them regardless, but I'm going to be madder at you because this was information that I needed to know.
And Jackie said it right here. She does think there's space to hold both accountable. But what Kyle did was definitely worse. And that was my thing, is that it is by far worse. Yet the way the show handled it on Wednesday and Thursday, was as if Kyle's bad, but can you believe Michael and Brittany?
Can you
And it's
believe
like,
this?
and I'm like, first off, they still have a chance to win the game.
Yeah.
Why are you trying to destroy them? Secondly, Kyle is way worse. He's
Yeah.
way worse at this. This is terrible. And then CJ, you missed this part. They talked about on the internet. Everyone on the internet defended Kyle. Obviously, you know how the thing is. You know, Kyle. They said Kyle's not. What he did was not necessarily inherently racist. What about the cookout? They were the most racist group to ever form on the thing. Blah blah blah. Kyle said in the meeting, the veto meeting, that his actions were in fact racially motivated.
But they didn't show that.
But they didn't show that.
They didn't
Why
show that.
not? Why not? He said it. It squelches everyone on the internet. It stops the Facebook people from trying to be like, Kyle's in the right. He deserves this.
And here's the other thing with the whole Kyle thing and all of that and the Michael and Brittany of it. You want to point at the cookout and say, well, that was an all-black alliance and they took out the white people. They didn't take out the white people. They took out everyone.
Everybody. Didn't matter
Everybody.
who you were. And then the people on the internet were like, the cookout's even worse for taking out everybody because they could have brought in the other people of color. That wasn't the plan.
That was the
plan was to get a black winner.
This is the thing that Kyle missed when he's worrying about the cookout. The 6 of them got together for a mission and they put that mission in front of their own game. I would have loved if you could have done the Men in Black mind wipe and put those same 16 people in the house this year, knowing there had been a black winner the year before. Put that same cast last year in this house. I don't know if X wins.
Correct.
The dynamics are way different.
Way different. Tiffany Mitchell goes in there and plays her own game.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like that's what you get then. You get Tiffany working with Claire and DX. You get Tiffany still riding with Chada. You get Tiffany maybe even bringing in Brittany and them making a run for it, right? You get a different game. Because now you've had a black winner, so everyone can play for themselves, which is kind of like, I mean, as weird as it is, the cookout died on the cross for all black players' sins.
Yes.
Right? They went out there just like Jesus. They went out there and had to do this so that way no one has to do this again.
Right.
Ever.
And it's absurd that for 20 plus seasons, majority or all white alliances could form and no one thought anything of it as they picked off the people of color. But when the people of color make one alliance, it's a problem.
I will defend the fact, though, that there were not too many people of color to pick off. So it was the all white alliances were not formed to make an all white alliance, but they were formed to work together, but they left out the person of color usually, or the two people of color, right? Yes. Because that's what you would have is like you would have literally 2 or literally 1. I think Devin and Amber were the only 2 that season, right? Yeah. Season 16. So when the detonators formed together and make the bomb squad and kick Devin out, it was just Amber left. You know what I'm saying? Like it was because Devin went crazy. It was just Amber left. Or when you look at like 19, you have Josh who wins, but it was just Josh and I guess Mark. I think there was someone else. Oh, Ramses early. I'm not sure what Jessica Graff is at all. I'm not sure what Jessica Nixon is at all. But it's never been that many. You know what I'm saying? It's never been that many. So people are inherently coming for them always.
But it just doesn't make sense to me that a show with that platform, especially when you compare it to Survivor, which is CBS's other marquee competition show, like reality competition show. Survivor embraces the conversation about race. And maybe that's because they were able to edit it and they know who won ahead of time and all that. But Big Brother, you have that same opportunity and you sit on it. Yeah. And you edit the people who are trying to be social justice warriors in a negative light.
Why? And now I want to make sure I make this clear. Brittany and Michael 100% used it for strategy.
Oh,
100%.
they're very much in the wrong.
Yes, we're not. I want to make sure it's clear. The 5 p.m.ers are not defending Brittany and Michael for what they did because
But
it was definitely for strategy.
they were 100% in the wrong, but they shouldn't have been villainized on TV. And that was my problem, is that Kyle gets to go out looking all right, which you saw when he left the house and there was no applause.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
That was great because you can't boo. They don't let you boo.
Yeah.
So he leaves, and reports are, and I don't know if this is true because it was from Spoiler Girl, so I don't really know. But reports are the clapping you do here is the staff.
And that's even, would you rather come out to dead silence or polite applause?
Polite applause.
I think I'd rather come out to dead silence at that point.
No. The reason you want polite applause is because you just got evicted. You're going on a stage. You didn't even realize there was a live studio audience until like the moment you like went live.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you walked out there, if it's bone dry, you're like, ooh, what's going on? What's going on?
So so my other question is, they don't your studio audience, you're not supposed to boo whatever. What do they do if you do boo? It's live.
They kick you out and they ban you, and then you can't come back and ever see this thing again.
Okay, that's fine. I still got my point.
It's not fine. I'm a fan. I came to do it. You know what I'm saying? I want to watch. I want to be able to go to as many live shows as possible, man. If I'm out there, no matter how, even if Daniel, and it's covered how much I hate Daniel. If Daniel Durston came across that stage live and I was in the crowd, I'm not booing because I'm not trying to not be able to cover this show and be able to be live again.
But you're not clapping
But
either.
I ain't clapping. And I ain't never clapped for Daniel Durston. Nope. You know what I'm saying? Ever. Nope. No matter here, no matter when I see him live, no matter if I see him walking down the Las Vegas Strip, I ain't never clapping for that man.
Nope.
Anyway, sorry about that. I just hate Daniel so much. But getting into the episode, after we have Michael and Brittany be vilified, and we go right into, as the episode ends with us going into the HOH competition. Right? The HOH competition starts, and before Turner had a chance to sit down and have a cup of coffee, Michael finishes and wins the competition.
Right? It's like
when watching it, so it's a puzzle, right? And they got because it was Zing Fest. So Michael, the competition to set up is that there's a pile of puzzle pieces on one side of the backyard. On the other side, you got to put the puzzle pieces together in a standing puzzle. You're watching everyone move the pieces around as Michael just gets to building.
It's crazy because they had to move those puzzle pieces one piece at a time. And it was like Michael was just moving them in the order that he needed to build it. I was like, yep. Did you get the instructions in the DR before the puzzle? Like, what's going on, man? It was crazy.
Watching Turner's face as Michael is like blowing away the competition was one of the funniest things.
And it's great. Well, it's great because they try to edit half these episodes. Well, they edit these episodes to make it seem like these competitions are close and everything. They didn't even try this week. They're like, yeah, Michael won.
Michael is halfway done, and then you look over, and no one even has the base complete. And Turner like rolls his eyes and just shakes his head because there's no getting this man out. If Michael can win an HOH competition, he's going to win it. In fact, I think Michael has won the last 3 consecutive HOH competitions that he could play in.
I believe that is true.
Taylor won. He won. Turner won.
He won again.
Yeah. So, and before Michael was HOH, it was Monty. And then before that was the buzzer one, I believe, right?
Yes.
And the buzzer one, he legitimately just lost. Like he said, he slipped on the buzzer. And then before that is the Jasmine one where he threw it to Jasmine. So Michael is rolling.
It's out of control.
It's out of control. It's out of control. And this man is just, with that win, he ties Janelle. He ties, he comes one away from tying Janelle for most competition wins in a season. This man is unstoppable because there's still 5 people to get out of here. So there's 5 more HOH competitions, as well as five
Four
or
more
there's six
vetoes.
more vetoes,
Four more.
4 more vetoes. So there's like 9 more competitions. And Janelle got this going into the final 3, you know? And Kevin Martin won out and BB Can. And I think Michael has that ability to make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody's going to have to put a Tanya Harding, Nancy Kerrigan style hit out on this dude. That's the only way you're stopping him. When he
It's the
dove for
only
the
way.
buzzer at the end, I thought maybe he blew out his ACL. The other people had hope.
I was dead. When he dove for it and hit the buzzer, I was like, bruh, you could have just looked and saw that nobody had it halfway done.
I was surprised he didn't moonwalk back there.
You could no, you can't moonwalk, but you can do like a light jog to hit the button. Right? Like you don't walk, don't walk, so that way you don't look disrespectful. Don't dive for the buzzer because that's a little much. But like a light jog, hit the buzzer, jump up and down, cheer, shout. Because I mean, Brittany said to him last week that there's no more strategy, bro. The strategy is to win. You gotta just
Yeah.
win out. That's
Because
all you can
everybody
do.
wants you out now.
Everybody wants you.
Except for me.
They know.
Because I'm your best friend. That's what Brittany
Yeah,
said.
and I'm down and I'm cool getting second. I've already decided I'm getting second, so I'm cool getting second. And so Michael wins. With Michael's win and him being 1 win away from tying Janelle's record for most competition wins, I think we're in for a pretty boring week.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you saw it with the episode, not to jump too far ahead, but like not a whole lot happened this episode. You got more, funny asides and side conversations, but
Bro,
not a whole lot of gameplay.
do you know how much nothing happened this episode? We got a segment that happened 4 weeks ago.
Oh, I was wondering when that happened.
And I'll tell you about that. Yeah, that was 4 weeks ago. But we're going to talk about that right now. So we get Michael getting another HOH room, them cutting him say his letter again. I don't know why they're not letting him read his letter from his husband or his fiance. Like, I don't know why they're doing that to him. They're not letting him. I mean, are they shying away because this is a homosexual relationship? I don't know. But
Well, I mean, it would make Kyle very uncomfortable once all the minorities in the house were eliminated.
And so, and the people like Kyle out there in the world,
yes,
they'll be upset about him reading a message from his husband or his fiance Hayden. But we got Michael out there. He gets his HOH room. Everyone's, Michael won again. Oh wow! Everyone was looking to Prime to take a shot at him, and I thought that was interesting that they even showed Taylor saying she's primed to take a shot too. Like, you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to show, and then for them to be talking about because of what happened last week, you didn't have to do that. You could have just talked about his competition wins, but instead they're going to continue to deride the two of them.
And that's the thing that I don't like that you see throughout this episode. One of the through lines is we need to get rid of them because of what happened last week, not because all this dude does is win.
Right.
Like, I want to get rid of Michael because all he does is win. Because again, if I'm in the house and he withheld this information, I'm going to give him a piece of my mind. I'm going to explain to him why it's not cool that he did what he did. But he's like, at the end of the day, we'll be fine. He's going to hear why I'm upset, but we'll be fine. And when I talk to the camera, I'll be like, yeah, I was upset at him about this, but he really does have to go because I cannot beat him.
Right.
Like, and that's what it comes down to is this dude is undefeated in vetoes. This dude is running away with HOHs now. Anytime you could take a shot, you have to take a shot because it may be the last time you get to take a shot.
Right. And that's all you have to show. But instead they want to highlight what happened with Kyle while still using Kyle as like a positive figure, even though he's definitely the villain.
100%.
He's definitely the villain. So we get that. We get them talk. We still get Taylor talking about, hey, I want to take him out. But then she goes and celebrates, just like everybody, just like Brittany does. Because that's like
Yeah.
his three. That is his three, legitimately. Then we have everyone getting ready for Zingbot.
I'm
CJ, what
not
do you
gonna
think of them
lie.
zings, dog?
I'm not gonna lie. This was not Zingbot's best year.
No, pretty weak zings.
Yeah.
Pretty
Like
weak zings.
anytime you got to make fun of somebody by telling them they're ugly, anytime you got to tell someone they're useless, like you didn't get to go in on them. I was not feeling this year's Zingbot.
What was the best one?
The best one, I don't know. It definitely wasn't the calling Monty boring. That was probably the worst one of the bad ones. Probably Britney's crazy eyes ones because that was something we said in our cast preview.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, half of them I was listening to, I was like, I feel like this dude just watched us and used our material. Is Zingbot a dude? Maybe. Did I assume Zingbot's gender? They used our material, not he.
I think you did. It's okay though. I'm sure Zingbot is. You know what though? I think Zingbot's male. I think because I think there was a lady Zingbot one time, so that's why I think the differentiation was. But neither here nor there. Um, I thought the best one was Alyssa's.
I didn't think that one was great. I thought Alyssa's reaction was great, but I didn't think Alyssa's was great.
Well, I mean, we live in a hot climate in the desert. How many winter coats do you have?
I have one. It's
For
useless.
when? There you go. I mean, it was they weren't great altogether, but that one was one that the only one that was good.
Yeah.
The only one that was good. It's low hanging fruit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
it Zingbot left a lot to be desired. Just to go through them, he said to Taylor that she was cold. She was cold
Yeah.
hearted, essentially. Meh.
Said that
She's actually one of the
Turner
sweetest people in the house.
well, he said Turner doesn't shower, which the
Yeah,
internet has been talking about for a while.
but that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Turner say he takes a shower every other day. Whatever, that's fine. I don't care.
Yeah.
He does not. He's literally exerting no energy in the house.
Yep.
So whatever. Monty is boring.
Yeah.
Meh.
Terrence is old.
Terrence is old. Um, what's this? Michael's ugly.
Yeah.
Meh. Meh. Now Dick wants to know what our all-time zings are. You know what, man? As many years I've been watching this show, I don't remember the zing. Zingbot's not very memorable to me.
I don't remember what the zing was, but I think the best zing I ever heard was when he went after Nicole Vrancel the second time. He murdered her, and I don't remember what exactly he said, but she was legitimately upset.
Was it the too many guys? The too many tries, too many guys? Was that a
Yeah.
zing? Or was that
Yeah.
just someone say that in the house? If that was a zing,
No.
that was great.
Something like
I
that.
don't I don't know if that the chat they're saying a zing that he said to Christmas. That's what we been saying. Um, Dick was saying the one that he said to Christmas as well. I don't remember that one, so I'm sure if both of y'all are on it, I'm sure the West Coast Warriors. I'm sure that means it was a good one. Uh, I'm sure we'll look it up before the end of the show, so that way
Yep.
we can see it. But we get Zingbot. Zingbot comes in pretty tepid, whatever. After Zingbot, we get people campaigning to Michael. Elizabeth, okay, I have something that I really want to talk about here, man. Is Kyle the worst ally to have in the world?
Yeah. His loose lips sunk a lot of ships,
And they're not
including
even
his own.
loose lips. He chose to share that information. Like, that's the worst part. It's not loose lips sinking ships. It's calculated and planned. Everything he did in terms of telling people what was going on was planned by him. And that makes him an even worse ally.
Yeah.
And so, like, we see a little flashback from like hours before Kyle goes home. of him telling Alyssa about the pound in the leftovers, with Monty and Turner still being there.
Yeah.
Why?
He was burning his bridges on the way out. He knew he was done.
Just
Might
setting
as
them
well try to
alight,
help
just like
Alyssa win.
flaming them on, flame on. Like it. What kind of an ally does that?
Not a good one. It's it's funny because like I never thought Kyle was playing a great game, but he could coast under the radar, keeping his showmance on one side and the leftovers on the other. And the problem was he was always going to have to pick, and that was going to be when he got exposed. His actual game problem, leaving aside what we talked about earlier, is that he didn't come up with an alliance to split the house in his favor. And by that, I mean, like, when you say I want to target all the minorities, like, that's immediately going to put people against you. Versus if you would have gone to Michael and said, hey, so these guys want to create a 4-man alliance called the Pound. I'm not okay with this. I think that you, Taylor, Brittany, me, Alyssa should have a side final 5.
Oh,
And we
that's not
should.
gonna work. That's not gonna work because you
Why?
said Taylor. You said Taylor in there.
Oh,
Um,
well. But
Taylor,
this is what I
Taylor,
mean.
Taylor's.
He screwed himself because you say we want to have a side final 5 and you break off at 8 before the leftovers have to start picking each other off. That's when
Right.
you make the break.
And that's when you're
Because
pulling Alyssa because you
and
wanted
you
to work
pull
with Alyssa
Alyssa,
anyway.
you get rid of them, and then you get rid of Taylor at 5.
Right.
And you have your
Right.
final 4 of white people. Like, sure.
It's that would have been the right move.
And he was so close. He was so close to having the right move. But when he laid out his pathology for it, he screwed himself.
Correct. Correct. And it's a shame because it made the most sense, right? Like you set that up, you set yourself up to do that. He doesn't do that. So instead, he tries to figure out a way that he could still work with he still tries to figure out a way that he can still work with Alyssa. So he just decides that I'm going to blow everything I built before up. Everything.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. And it's like, I guess because you're out of the house, it doesn't matter for you. But why, Monty, like you, why screw over Monty and Turner?
Well, why did Joseph screw over Taylor? Because sharing the information of Taylor tried to bring me into a Final 4 with Michael and Brittany, which, although those weren't her words, it was the gist of what she was saying. Like, why share this information on your way out, regardless of who you are?
Right.
Like, I don't understand what you think you're doing to save yourself by diming other people out, especially when the numbers are small. Like, there's not a lot of places to hide it when there's 8 or less people. You can hide when there's 12 or 13 and get a vote flipped by sharing the right information at the right time. But at this point, people are thinking who they want to sit next to at the end. And there's very little you can say to flip unless it's bigger than game, like what Michael and Brittany did last week.
Right. I mean, what they did was it was like, as bad as it was Dan's funeral-esque.
Yeah.
Right. It was one of those moves. And as despicable as it is, it was a game move. This information right here is not seismic. No. So when Alyssa uses it as a bartering chip, like that's probably even the worst part, right? Is that Kyle basically shoved a bunch of francs in her hand, like francs or euros in her hand. Yeah. He said, I'm out of here. Take this money. This is good. Take it with you, and you'll be okay. And then he leaves, and then she goes to Michael and says, "Hey, I got this currency right here. Here's these." Even worse, there were a bunch of pesos, And she goes and says, Kyle told me this was worth something. And then he's like, that's like 10 of those makes $1, bro.
Yeah.
She's like, I thought this was good money.
No, even worse. It was like having Bitcoin. When Kyle had it, it was super high. But when
uh,
Alyssa went to cash in, not so much.
not so much. Not so much. And it's what she did. She cashed it in. Michael's like, cool, 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 cool. Thanks. No, I appreciate it. Um, you're going up. I don't really know
Yeah.
what to tell you.
And like the best part is all Michael really had to say to Terrence and to Alyssa was, y'all know we were working together before. Kyle screwed up a good thing. We're back to what we were before. If you don't want to go home, win the veto.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like there was nothing that Michael needed to do or say in the nomination ceremony because I mean, like we're just going to cut right to it. He nominated Terrence, he nominated Alyssa, but there was nothing you had to say other than you weren't in the leftovers and there's 2 of you left.
Yeah, and like even when he gives him like a different reason, like Terrence, he says, Terrence, you were trying to backdoor me, and then Terrence laughs. I'm like,
Yeah.
bro, he doesn't even. And then Terrence, this is the craziest part. Terrence then goes to the diary room and says his reasoning was so bogus, bro. Of course it was. He had to like give you a fake reason. You're not in the leftovers. That's why you're going up. You tried to come for him. That's why you're
I
going
mean,
up.
you really want to talk about it? Like his reasoning was so bogus. Terrence, you were walking around campaigning trying to get Kyle to stay so that he can continue
Yeah,
his
man. Who the
redemption arc
fuck
in the house.
cares?
Get out
Like,
of this house, Terrence. You need to go and sit with him in jury so that you can
yeah,
teach him about what he
go
did was
help him.
wrong.
Go help him like you wanted
Yeah.
to. You know what I'm saying? Like go over there and help teach him and help him improve.
Yeah.
Bro, and even it's even better because Terrence, they didn't really show it too much, but Terrence's prime way of trying to stay in the house, did you know this, Siege? Was that he was telling Michael that he's going to go to jury and give them his version of what happened with Kyle. And you'll see how Kyle feels now that he's not being bullied by Brittany and Michael.
What they've shown Terrence on TV. This is like we talked about earlier. The Kyle, like they hid Kyle, and stop protecting Kyle and KK Kyle were trending on Twitter for a while. Terrence is getting a similar edit where Terrence is being a real shitty person in the house, but what they're showing on TV is not who Terrence is.
Like Boston Girl said, can Terrence just go already? Like get out, bro. Because you're terrible. And like you got like a family and kids and shit. You know what I'm saying? Terrence is just trash. Like you got a family and shit, dog. Like, come on.
No, like Terrence is trash, and this isn't like Toy Story Forky trash. No, this is like legitimate, like rancid.
Well, that trash is friends. You know what I'm saying? The trash can be friends. That's the thing in Forky. But this is just rancid, right? This is just bad. Trash. Yeah, and like the fact that Terrence is going to try to go, like Dick said, Terrence is going to go try to assault the jury, bruh. Nobody's listening to you, man. Like once you get there, no one cares. No one cares.
Like Terrence is threatening to go insult the jury. Terrence is not someone I'm afraid if they ended up in the jury house, they were going to assault the jury. You know who I'd be afraid to send to the jury house because they're going to assault the jury? Joseph. I'm going to be afraid if he goes. Michael. I'm going to be afraid if he goes. Taylor. I'm going to be afraid if she goes. Those are the 3 people that I think can sway the jury because as much as they especially Taylor, as much as they've targeted her throughout the season, when they get to the jury house and it's no longer game and Taylor can talk about her experiences in the house and how people treated her, she can actually put some people in a really positive light that they may not have gotten that because they burned their bridges game-wise when they voted these people out.
Bro, Boston Girl right here said it the best. Terrence has targeted all the black people all season long outside of Jasmine.
Yep.
It's ridiculous. So Terrence can say everything he wants right here. He go in there. Nobody's listening to you, man. Nobody. But that's his threat, right? So
Wait, can I just talk about the Jasmine thing for 1 second with Terrence? This is what I don't understand. He targeted all the black people except for Jasmine, but on the second episode of the season, the first Sunday episode, they showed Terrence propose a married person's alliance to Jasmine, and Jasmine committed the cardinal sin of not accepting
Nah,
every
fam, I'm all
single
right.
time somebody wants to work with you.
She
She said,
said,
"No, I'm good,"
"Nah, I'm good, man."
and he still continued trying to work with her.
Yeah,
If I ever say I want to work with you and you're like, no, I'm good. Oh, so you're trying to send me home? Okay.
yeah, that's obviously the point. Because obviously you're gonna keep rolling with this alliance, and now I know you have one.
Yep.
Because I said no, but Brittany's probably not gonna say no, and Michael's probably not gonna say no, and Nicole's gonna probably be in it because I think she was married before. Like they're obviously in this alliance that I said no to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and I said no, so obviously I have this information. Bruh, Terrence is such a bad game player. I'm just so ready.
He
So the
didn't
fact
even
that
win his HOH. He lost the
no,
HOH.
he did win one veto though.
He won one veto. And he had the advantage because he was closest to the house and the wind was blowing.
Yeah, and the wind blew his less, blew his less. So it
Yes.
is what it is. But no, Terrence is like so bad at this game. And DJ Showtime thinks that he is spinning them records and doing what he has to do, but he's doing nothing but playing music nobody's listening to.
He's got like one of those crappy internet radio stations that nobody has the link. That's what DJ Showtime's doing.
Yep. And it's embarrassing for him. It's embarrassing that we have to watch him. But he makes this threat to Michael that he's going to go salt the jury, which Michael's like, bro, like that's not a good way for me to like keep you in this game. So go and tell him all the things you want about how we set on this information. And it is what it is. So he puts up DJ Showtime and he puts up Alyssa, and Alyssa knows that she's pretty much a pawn. Terrence knows he's the target. I did like how Michael said that he's going to take this DJ and throw him right under the bus. And he said, and this kind of works on like another level because he's also a bus driver. So
Yep.
that is it.
Loved it.
I like that. And before we get off this,
Can I say that
Dick
was better
right
than
here.
any of Singbot sings?
True, it was. But Dick right here says this edit makes Terrence look like a decent dude. And it does. And that's the problem. And that's why Dick is one of the West Coast Warriors, comes here every Monday night to hear us as the 5 p.m.ers talking about what's really going on. Because you would not know that Terrence was trash if you were not here to listen to it first, or if you were not watching the feeds. So Terrence, terrible.
Awful.
Terrible-lence. You know what I'm
And
saying?
that's why Taylor, like, they don't go into it on Taylor's HOH, but Taylor was obsessed with getting Terrence out. And they're like, nah, it's cool. We don't need to get Terrence out. It's because Terrence had been awful to her the whole time.
Right. Right. And he like, well, no, actually, he was fake nice to her. And then she heard from Joseph the truth that he'd been trashing her behind her back the whole time. She's like, disappointed in this man. Why is he trying to save my biggest tormentor, Daniel? Like, why are these things that this man does? Like, man, oh man.
Yeah. So
CJ,
I'm ready to get into it. I'm really hoping that the leftovers can get Terrence out of here.
Yeah, you know what? Let's get into the spoilers real fast, right? Before we get to the spoilers, if you're dipping out now, thank you for coming. When we get to 250 subscribers, so like, comment, subscribe. When we get to 250 subscribers, we're giving away a golden power of veto signed by a former veto holder. So please, please, please get subscribed because we would love it. In addition, we will be back on Wednesday night. You'll have Sheldon, you'll have Kylie, maybe Mike. They will be here to go over everything that has gone on in the veto episode of the show. So make sure you show up for that. In addition, so you can find CJ on all social media at Keyboard Sarcasm, where he'd be tweeting about Big Brother. He'd be tweeting about other stuff that's not Big Brother, like wrestling and like
Yep.
basketball and other sports stuff. And you can find me at KG Fury, where I'd be doing the same. I'd be watching the feeds. We'd be talking about that as well as other things. Also, you can follow For the Fans Reality on all social media, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. We'd be popping off right there. So check those things out. Get subscribed. Do all of that. If you got 10 seconds to get up out of here, because maybe even 20. We're gonna give them 20 because we're gonna give people some time because we're ready to talk about these feeds. Because the feeds, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, the feeds haven't been popping like they were before, but there was some stuff that happened, so I do want to talk about it. All right, CJ, we ready to get into it?
Yeah, I'm
We need some like
100%.
feeds music. We need like feeds music.
What feeds music would it be like the Law and Order theme?
Boom, boom. Like that is. Hey, Sheldon here in the chat said these two men look huggable, and we definitely are. We love some hugs.
So here's the thing about feeds. If you've been following the feeds, you know that after they had their big house meeting with Kyle and everything, Black people have real dark sense of humor. That's how we deal with things. I'm gonna quote Taylor and say, "I've been hate crimed" when Sheldon says, "I look huggable."
Hey, Taylor be with the jokes and the snacks. That's what she's about. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Jokes and snacks. So we had a veto competition. It was BB Comics, baby. BB Comics are here. We had some like pretty funny ones. Did you hear about the Kyle one?
I did not hear about the Kyle one.
Kyle's comic said it was erectile dysfunction.
Oh
Was
no.
on his was on
Oh
his
no.
comment. Erectile dysfunction. I wonder what that was about.
Oh no.
Let's just say he had no problems in that department, but he might have had some problems. Last a little bit longer.
Hey, I
That
mean,
Turner.
Alyssa wants a 10-second man. Dominic Toretto wants a 10-second car. It's all the same.
We had Taylor's had something to do with Lay's or some potato chips. Off the top of my head, I know that Turner did not like his. I can't remember what his was about. Another big story. Paloma does not have a comic.
So I don't think Paloma self-evicted. I really think she was removed for her own well-being.
Correct. I agree.
And at this point, they just have to act like she didn't exist because of all of the problems she caused early in the season.
Oh, that's right. Brittany had Brit Flea, which was a great one because it was Brit Flea. They didn't get it. And then I think it was yesterday on Sunday, either Saturday, I think it was Sunday. Terrence is talking to Taylor. This is actually a big story. Terrence is talking to Taylor, and she's like, Terrence is like, I think I finally got the Brittany one. It's called Brit Flea. And they're like, Britt Taylor's like, yeah, because she like scratches all the time. She's like, no, what do fleas do? They attach to you and just ride you and don't really do nothing. They just hit you on for the ride.
Wow.
Gets better, Siege. Over the loudspeaker outside, it says, zing! Which means he got it. He hit the nail on the head. That's what they were talking about. Whichever PA had that when he was piecing it out, whatever PA was like, oh, this is a good one. They finally figured it out. Beep. Hit that zing button. That's what the Britfley was. Is that Brittany is just attached herself to Michael and just along for the ride.
I don't understand. When Brittany was talking in the episode about how people don't understand how inextricably like latched on she is to Michael and their games are like synonymous. I'm like, if by synonymous you mean that he carried you, then yes.
Well, I think let me tell you why I think she's saying it, and I'll tell you why she's saying that. Before we get to there, BB Comics, who could be in BB Comics? The only person that didn't was Turner. Can you guess who won BB Comics?
I'm gonna say the man who is now 6-0 with one no contest.
He is 6-0. He is now holds the record for the most amount of vetoes won in the history of the game. Michael is the veto holder. He has won 6 vetoes. He has now tied Janelle's record for competition wins. This man cannot be stopped. He is non-stop.
Yeah. I don't understand. Like, what does this dude do at home to get ready for the Big Brother season? Was he just like doing Big Brother specific workouts? Like, did he have a Big Brother strength and conditioning coach? Like, I don't understand how this guy got in there and he just wins everything.
So I know that Michael plays a bunch of orgs, right? I've seen him in the community, the org community. And I know that he's a big, like a legitimate super fan. He probably has a Bible, but he also has things that he was working on. Right here, Michelle said Pooch was coaching Michael to like he had things he was working on. He had a slack line in his house. The basic comps that he knows are going to be coming. I'm sure he could put some work in. This one, it was apparently the standard BB comic one, where stuff is wrong on one comic. You had to like write the thing down. You had to change. You got to point out the different things that are wrong. This definitely seemed up Michael's alley.
Yeah.
He has the arm strength to like be focused on the comp itself and figuring out what was wrong. And he's pretty attentive to detail. These are things like this was up Michael's alley. So with that, yes, 6 veto wins, holds the record now. That's just phenomenal. Phenomenal. It's never been matched. It's never been done. 16 seasons. Janelle did this in BB7 All Stars. I believe All Stars. It was BB7, yeah. Or was it 6? She might have done BB6. I think she did in BB6.
So here's the thing. One of those. Like, here's the thing, and you saw it with Janelle, and I'm sure you'll see it in Michael if he ever makes it to an All-Star season. Once you get this reputation of all I do is win, you can't stay in the house. We have to get rid of you.
Yeah, because you're too dangerous. And he'll definitely be invited back for All-Stars no matter how they're trying to portray him.
Yeah.
But he's just killing it. And now Dick has a good question. Is it Michael or is it just poor competition? What do you think?
Even if it is poor competition, one of these people should have lucked into a win by now. Like, they should have figured out a way to win one. Like, this dude is on like a Jordan Bulls run right now. Mm-hmm. No one can touch him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's just poor competition. I think he is that much better than everyone else.
He's LeBron in the East. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's no one's close. And my answer for Dick is that it's not poor competition. Monty his muscles are not popcorn muscles, right? Joseph was in there competing as well. Pooch came close to beating him, or he had it lined up to win that veto, right? Taylor could have beat him, but she missed the shot, and then Michael rolls it right in. Like, he's out there competing against people that are pretty good, and he's winning these comps when there's still a ton of people in the house. So, like, Janelle wins going to the final 3, and as you know, once you hit 6, you're in every veto, and you are fighting against less people in terms of HOH people, HOH competitors. He won this shit early.
Yeah.
He won this shit early.
Which means he has a shot to put this so far out of reach that no one will ever touch it.
Right. And like, that's kind of like where he needs to keep that in mind come this veto, this double eviction veto, because we know Thursday's a double eviction. Right? We're aware of that. So he's not going to be able to compete in the HOH. I doubt Brittany wins it. If Brittany doesn't win, he's going on the block.
Yeah, Taylor needs to win. And even if Taylor wins, he's probably still going on the block.
Yeah, he'll go on the block straight away. And there's no way, there's no point of you in backdooring him. There's only 6 left. You just put him right on the block.
Here's the thing: is I think if Taylor puts him on the block, she opens up the possibility of not making it to 3. And I think she might think about that and not put him on the block accordingly.
And that's exactly what Sharon said in the chat. Whoever takes out Michael has a target, so they can't take credit for it. The moment that you put him up and you take him out, you're in trouble.
Yep.
You're in trouble.
Now you're the biggest target in the game.
Right, because you have the biggest head on your mantle, and everyone knows it. Which is why Taylor really wants to take him out at 3.
Yeah.
Now, 3 may be too late.
The thing is with the way that the competitions are at 3, I agree with Taylor that it's a safe assumption that she can beat Brittany in just about any physical comp, which is what the first 2 legs are. I just don't think she can beat Michael in a mental comp in the third part of that competition.
I don't think so either. And she's been practicing her days, but like not like him. He just knows that shit. Now, I'm gonna get into what Boston Girl is saying right here, because Michael has won this veto, and Brittany's been working. Now, do you remember a few weeks ago, CJ, when we talked about Brittany telling Michael she was cool coming in second to him?
Of course.
The reason that's important is because when you get that like mindset, you get that like that thing in your brain that you're like, I don't need to win. Anything can happen.
Yep.
Like you're just so crazy that you're dangerous. So Brittany is out here making final twos with everybody.
Yeah. It's funny. She can make final twos with everyone because she's trying to gather information to take back to Michael. But realistically, unless she gets the blood on her hands herself.
Well, that's the thing. So what she's doing is she's telling everybody that she's willing to take out Michael. She told Turner that she should go to the end with Turner because Turner's the only one that she could beat.
Yeah.
Turner's like, I don't think so. But sure, Brittany, we'll see what's up. Alyssa, she told Alyssa, we both are not well liked. I think I can beat you in the end, Alyssa. Let's go to a final 3. In fact, let's bring in Taylor and do like a girls thing. Let's get the real girls and let's do a girls thing. The 3 girls versus the guys. Well, she makes this alliance. And then she tells Turner about this girls' alliance.
What does she do?
Which then has Turner go talk to Michael and says, how about we put the guys together? Because I know that we were coming for you, but Brittany's out here being wild and crazy kids. We might need you to work. Let's just trade the HOH back and forth.
Yeah.
Right? And Michael's like, okay, like, sure. Because they got to do it first, right? He's not going to put them up right now. He's going to keep Terrence on the block. Sure. In addition, Brittany went to Michael and said, I talked to Alyssa, the 3 of us girls, and bring in you. Let's go after Monty and Turner. The girls already agreed that that's a good idea.
Yep.
So now there's a 4-person, there could be a 4-person alliance, and Michael agrees to it. And Boston Girl says here in the chat, Michael has gone from the biggest target to the safest person going into the double. Brittany is just so crazy that it just might work.
Yeah. If everyone thinks Michael is on your side, maybe you don't pull the trigger this week. Maybe you think you can beat him at 3.
Right.
Maybe.
Right. And Michael's not the one making these deals. Brittany is. Because she's playing a second place game intentionally. So she's being as messy as she can be.
Like, I mean, you play a second place game, you still walk out with more money than you started with.
And that's how she feels about it. Now, B Bean's right. Brittany may evict Michael like Steve Moses did to Vanessa Russo in 17. That's a possibility.
It is.
But she could be serious. Speaking of Brittany, one thing we need to talk about in the episode, they showed a scene of Brittany hypnotizing Alyssa.
Yes.
Because Alyssa's back hurt.
Yes.
Do you know when Alyssa's back hurt? It hurt 4 weeks ago when she was doing some moves she was doing some lifting with Monty. She hurt her back 4 weeks ago. For them to show that segment, this episode, meant there wasn't much to talk about.
No, not at all.
And this is the shit that's been going on in the house.
But this is the thing, is the Sunday episode really is Thursday 9 p.m. or 6 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Pacific until about noon Pacific Friday.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot that goes on, and when you take people out of the house, there's even less going on.
True. And there's and especially when shit is so controlled like Michael does it.
Yeah.
Now, being said, Kyle did not knock her back out. Being at the time 4 weeks ago, it was shortly after that happened, and some of us on the internet were like, "Oh, Kyle, getting it on that floating." Then we found out that you cannot get hurt after 10 seconds. So there's no way that Kyle, to put that hurting on her, had to have been Monty getting the stuff done.
Were they having a BBD party?
No. They were working out. Legitimately, they were working out in the backyard. Kyle wasn't really having a BBD party either. I mean, it was real quick. You know what I'm saying? 10 seconds. Bam. You know what I'm saying?
10 seconds is a long time for some people.
Hey, if you can convince them that it is, you can convince her that it's a good 10 seconds, who knows?
He hit her with his best move.
The leaving her out, because he left her out of a lot of stuff. That's the best move that he got. So, Michael does not plan on using the veto, and sure enough, today he did not use the veto. Terrence came and threatened his ass again. What I'm really interested in seeing, and this is something that was talked about, but I did not see it be talked about afterwards because it would have been subtle. Michael's a fucking gamer, dog. You know that, right? Michael is aware that when someone goes to the jury house, they're like, "Oh, why are you here?" And they're like, "Oh, let me show you what happened." They put a video in.
Yep.
And then they show them the HOH competition. You talk through it. You see the HOH nominees, and you see them give the speech. Then you see the veto ceremony. You see them give the speech and see who stays on the block for the veto. Right?
Yes.
Since Michael's a fucking gamer, he planned, and I don't know if it went through because it would have been subtle. He planned on, in the veto speech, saying that Terrence threatened to taint the jury against him because he's mad that he outfoxed him in this game.
Which is genius.
So I'm leaving Terrence on the block and I'm not using the veto. By saying that ahead of time, when Terrence plays the video and then starts talking about the shit that happened with Kyle, it's going to make Joseph, Indy, and Jasmine go, "Oh, that's that shit Michael was talking about."
Yep.
And it blows Terrence's dumbass out the way. Of everything he's going to say, none of that shit's going to matter.
I don't think anybody would have listened to Terrence to begin with. It's the worst part.
Right. This is, by saying this though, it just locks it down for him.
Yeah. Michael is actually playing chess while the rest of them play checkers.
Correct. And then, as Boston Girl said, Kyle isn't even mad at Brittany and Michael. So when they go in there and Terrence is saying all this thing, Kyle's got to remember the words of Monty, because Monty told him, people are going to tell you when you get out of this house that you were right, and you got to be the one to tell them that you were wrong.
Yep.
When Terrence comes in the house and saying they use this as a strategy, Kyle's going to say, "No, my brother, I was wrong." Peace be with you, Terrence. Michael and Brittany, they did the right thing getting me out of this house. He's going to be like a complete convert. That is going to be.
The best part is and Terrence will come in and be like, they use this for game. And Kyle's like, I just can't believe they slandered my good name. And then he gets back to his social media when he's out of the jury house and he's like, oh, okay. I
Kyle,
see
our
what I did wrong.
hero. Kyle's gonna come back as a conquering hero to Twitter.
Oh, to the wrong crowd.
Yeah, yeah, and then he's gotta tell those Trumpies to stay back.
Yep.
I was wrong. See, let's see if his growth actually happens. But that is what's been happening in the house. Terrence is going home this week. Finally, Terrence is leaving. We're getting a double. Turner is going to be able to play in the double.
Yep.
I don't know if Monty and Turner keep their side of the story. I don't know if they keep up with this thing. Turner say he genuinely wants to. That was yesterday. I don't know if he actually does. If they do, Michael has a straight shot to 3.
Yeah.
Like Michael has to get through this thing. And Michael might win the veto. Who knows?
I don't understand how you could be so dominant and people still be afraid to take a shot at you. Like
they all had it lined up.
But here's the thing, like if you don't take a shot at him when you have a chance because you're afraid to, he's gonna get you out anyway. If you take a shot at him and you miss, he's gonna get you out anyway. So you might as well take the shot. So what if you go home at 5 instead of 3?
It only behooves Monty and Kyle to take the shot.
Yeah.
Because Alyssa, he wants to kind of bring Alyssa towards the end. Taylor, he's working with, so he wants to bring Taylor towards the end. And then obviously Brittany's his number 1. So she's not going anywhere. So it only makes sense for the boys to do it. I mean, straight up, that's kind of it.
We'll see. The double will be a very interesting 2-hour episode on Thursday because someone needs to take the shot.
Now, see, Dick said earlier the duo went out and become a BB legend and still lose to Taylor in the finale. Make it make sense. I will happily make it make sense for you because the game's not all about competition wins. If that was the case, then this would be the challenge.
Yep.
This game is a social game, and they know they did wrong by Taylor, and they've seen the grace that she has shown them. So, like, at this moment, Joseph, Jasmine, and Indy probably vote for Taylor if she's sitting next to Michael. Brittany would vote for Michael. Kyle probably votes for Taylor. Terrence and Monty probably vote for Taylor if she's sitting next to Michael.
So this isn't the right comp, but like if Taylor were to be sitting next to Michael at final 2, you would have one of the most dominant winners in show history versus somebody who has arguably the best story in show history. It kind of looks like Survivor season 2 where Tina beat Colby. And like it's not the same comparison at all because there's a lot of other reasons why Tina won.
Yeah. And there's a lot of other reasons that Taylor would win, right? Because like there's a lot of things that happen.
But you're setting up for that kind of shocker if you had Taylor versus Michael at the end.
Now, granted, I don't think we get Taylor versus Michael in the end. If let's say Michael, Brittany, and Taylor are final 3, if Michael wins, he cuts Taylor and takes Brittany. Taylor cuts Michael and takes Brittany. So the likelihood of them two sitting next to each other is very slim. Because I also think that in another combination, you have Taylor sitting next to Alyssa. And bro, if Alyssa were to beat Taylor, racism. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't even know
what to say at that point.
Like Alyssa's in like the best spot, and she did nothing to get there.
Yeah. The only way Alyssa wins is if she wins out from this point.
And she mentioned that. She said she had to pull like a Paris and do that. And that's an option, Paris. Like She knows what she has to do. That's the only way to do it is by winning. Because didn't she didn't do anything early, but Paris and BB Can 6, she like just wins down the stretch, and that's kind of what she would have to do, right?
Yeah.
And like take out Michael, and then maybe she like
Who
sits
knows?
next. Who knows? Such a crazy game.
Yeah.
But CJ, Thursday, we have Terrence going home. Thursday should be a Terrence eviction party. People are gonna be celebrating in the streets on Twitter.
Yep.
We're gonna get a double.
Yep.
Who do you think goes home to double?
Oh, I want to say Michael. I just don't see how he loses a veto. So probably Taylor, just based on what Turner was thinking. I'm thinking
Yeah,
Turner wins. He takes her out.
I think Brittany. I think it's either Michael or Brittany. On one or the other.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Here's
thinking.
but here's the thing is the only way it's Michael or Brittany is if they are sitting on the block next to each other.
Right. And like Boston Girl said, Michael has the final four with the girls and the final three with the boys as of today. I don't know how true those things are. I know that he has those, so I'm not denying that he does. But I don't know that if they're going to be true to it. Monty did say this. Sharon said in the chat. Monty said he just needs a ball. Put a ball in his hands. He said, "Give me any kind of ball, and I'll beat that man. Just give me any. Just let me catch something. Let me throw something. Even do the bowling ball one. I'll let me get that. I'll beat him." And I mean, Michael's probably really good at like. I mean, Michael this
Yeah.
guy. He's probably good with some balls in his hand. Michael's
Oof.
probably good with some balls in his hand. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, that's another thing.
It's funny because
But
he says, put a ball in your hand, but if we're playing horse, I'm picking Michael.
there's like not really any competition that I'm not picking Michael at this point.
Yeah. Except
Uh,
who can lay in the sun and not get sunburned the longest? I might not pick Michael.
That'll be some competition. Michael still some kind find a way to win that one.
Yep.
He's gonna lather on like SPF 1,000,000 and just be fine. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a good time. CJ, where can they find you, my friend?
Find me on all socials at Keyboard Sarcasm. I tweet about Big Brother, tweet about sports, tweet about other stuff. I think I'm funny.
Yep. You can find me at the KG Fury. I'm all over the place doing the stuff, talking about the things. Instagram, Twitter, all this stuff. Once again, like and subscribe. Let's get that to 250 so that way we can get that golden power veto sent to one lucky subscriber. CJ, once again, it's always a pleasure being here. These 5 p.m.ers, I'm knocking out watching the episodes at 5 so that way we
Yep.
can come on here and talk to these East Coast folks. Thank you for joining us and coming to you from outside of the Big Brother house. Don't try to salt the jury. Thank you. Good night.